On the show, Scott Shackford, who's the associate editor of Reason.com. Scott, welcome to Made in America.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Well, Scott, I mean, in your piece, I mean, this is just blows me away. I mean, you wrote in your blog recently, and I'm going to quote, more than 50% of non-government folks that met with Clinton, and that's Secretary Clinton, as she was Secretary of State, while she was the Secretary of State, gave donations to the Clinton Foundation totaling $156 million.
Yes.
I mean, how in the world can they get away with this?
And keep in mind, that's not a complete figure. This was reported by the Associated Press based on partial information from their meetings because they had a hard time getting information from Clinton, whose reputation for being non-transparent is out there. So the argument is, of course, that the Clinton Foundation is a charitable group that money goes to various charitable purposes and beneficial purposes across the world. And, that's true. They certainly do a lot of good things. But the problem is that's not actually a defense. It's just explaining what it does. And so the argument, just yesterday, Clinton was tweeting about how the money that they're getting at the Clinton Foundation is being used to help pay for drugs for people with HIV and AIDS. And that's true. But that argument is essentially the ends justify the means. Because the money's being used for good purposes, that makes it, first of all, it's acknowledging that it happens, which I find interesting. Second of all, it's saying that it's okay to have a pay-for-play system where only, the richest and most powerful can access the Secretary of State's office if they give money to good causes that are identified by the Secretary of State's office. And that there's going to be
that her husband controls, that she and her family controls.
Yes, and and even if it's good, her daughter is employed by the Clinton Foundation, I believe, and so there's still this issue. Even if, but let's be as charitable as possible. Even if the Clintons themselves never got a cent of money from the foundation, it's still this very serious ethical violation where people.
Then how do you explain that on a government salary she's amassed such an incredible fortune? I mean, this is like Suharto. I mean, this is like Marcos. Man, I would love to know who is their financial advisors. I want to hire that person.
Well, certainly, yeah. They have tons of sources of money, and I'm not saying that they aren't getting money from the foundation. But my point is that even if they're not personally profiting, there are huge ethical issues here of the whole pay-for-play procedure. It doesn't make it any better that it might be going to good purposes or charitable purposes. People are still having to give money in order to get access to the Secretary of State and influence them on issues.
Well,